There we are, we're live. I think we're live. We're live?
Yep.
We're live. Hi, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Steve Morrier. I'm the owner and chief alchemist here at Split Tree Cocktail Company. This is my dog Chewy, who just can't seem to stay out of the video. So, despite all the warnings and best advice that Carleton Alumni received, they still gave me full access to their Facebook live feed. I hope you can hear me. I'm outside and there's a lot of sawing and chopping and stuff going on, but we're gonna power through it and do our thing. So, as I stated, I'm on the Carleton Alumni feed right now. I am a Carleton alumni. It's making me feel a little bit old. It was a long time ago that I graduated from Carleton University. Come on, there we go. Lie down. There you go. Lie down. There we go. Trying to keep. It's always got to be in the spotlight. So it's funny that I'm where I'm at now because originally I went to Carleton University and took commerce. And the reason I decided I'd take commerce was because in the third year, there was a small business class, which is what I was really interested in. So instead of just taking a small business class, I decided I'd roll in commerce, which it didn't end super well for me because 8 a.m. economics classes pretty much killed me. And then the next semester was 8 a.m. accounting classes, which it just turned out not to be my thing, and then turns out you got to be pretty good at math as well. So after sort of taking a year to figure things out, I came back to Carleton and decided I think I'm going to do a Bachelor of Science or maybe even geology or environmental science. And again, one chem lab and one biology class, and I'm like, yeah, again, not my thing, not my strong suit. So fortunately, I discovered there's a lot of overlap between environmental science and geography, and I ended up getting a BA in geography, which was pretty awesome. I ended up actually working in the geography field for about 15 years, doing geographic information systems, remote sensing, 3D modeling, and that sort of brought me to where I am today, where I ended up getting laid off from working in that field and wound up in the microbrew industry. We have questions?
Is the pupper a mascot?
This is definitely the mascot for Split Tree Cocktail Company. I'm not sure how long he's going to last because it's about 30 degrees out here today. I'm a little worried my ice isn't going to last, but we'll do our best. So I ended up working for Hogsback Brewing Company for a little while, and then transitioned to work for the Broadhead Brewing Company, who's still around here in Orleans. They just opened a new spot. Really cool guys. Taught me a lot about running your own business and just doing it smart and on a sort of a shoestring budget. And sort of in working for those guys, I noticed that there was a real gap in what people could get. And so there was microbreweries, there were local wineries, but there was no local distilleries at the time. And so I started looking into that and quickly realized that the regulations in Ontario are pretty brutal for micro distilleries. I don't know how you guys do it, but good for you. I certainly appreciate all your hard work, and I've got some of your products back here. But I figured I couldn't do that, but I did stumble across a tonic recipe. I didn't even know you can make your own tonic, but at the time I was sort of geeking out on bitters, and I had all the ingredients. So I started making some tonics, and I made 6 different tonics. Had a big cocktail party at a friend's house, numbered them all, everyone tried them, and tonic number 3 was born. And that's how this all started. Someone said you should try selling these. I went to Urban Craft, which I'm not sure is still around anymore. Promptly sold out of everything I brought, and sort of the rest is history, as they say. So that's sort of the history of my connection to Carleton University and how I became the owner of Split Tree Cocktail Company. So I think we'll get after it and make our first drink. So this is my absolute all-time favorite drink. It's a twist on an old-fashioned. Actually, we'll start with the ice. The ice is pretty important when you're making an old-fashioned. You don't want crushed ice. You don't want little ice chips or anything like that. And I got this really awesome piece of kit from Wintersmiths. It's how to make crystal clear giant ice blocks, and the idea is that you fill this whole thing with water, put your ice molds in, all the sort of particulates and weird things in your water filter out to the bottom, and you're left at the top with these beautiful ice cubes. So that's what I use. I use these nice, giant, perfect squares. That's what I'll start with. Now, I always make mine with bourbon, but you can use rye, you can use whiskey. Right, today I'm using North of 7 Canadian whiskey. They do like a bourbon mash bill, which is a corn bill, which is really nice. So now, technically you should measure. I've been doing this long enough, I don't measure, I just pour as much as I like. So usually 2 ounces is a good start. So I always start with the bourbon first. Get that up about, well, I was supposed to do 3/4 of an ice cube, but 9/10 is good enough. Just want to cover my ice real quick. Put my bourbon back. The next ingredient is my rhubarb and elderflower, and I should say I forgot to mention at the beginning, we're running a contest where you can win all 4 of these flavors that I'm using today, so be sure to like this page, like my page. I think you have to tag a friend, do a bunch of stuff, but real simple stuff, and you can win all this stuff, and I'll be happy to send it out to you. So again, I do a 2-to-1 ratio of bourbon to mix. So I've done 2 ounces of bourbon roughly, and I'll do about an ounce of rhubarb and elderflower. The rhubarb just works really nicely with the bourbon. It's a nice flavor combination. The key to, as far as I'm concerned, to a good old-fashioned, normally you would use a orange peel, but because there's actually lemon citrus in here, I use a lemon peel, and it just makes that extra oomph or flavor. I mean, I think it's really important when you stick your nose in the glass, you want to smell the citrus of the lemon peel. So I get myself a good chunk. Give it a twist in there. We have any viewers?
17.
17 viewers! Dynamite! That's my best ever. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I give that a little twist in there, stir it around a little bit, drop it in at the top. What did I do? Oh, lost my bitters. Oh, I'm blind. Here's my bitters. So I'm using Scrappy's bitters out of Vancouver. It's Orleans bitters. It's got a bit of a like a licorice star of anise flavor to it. So I just put a few dashes of that in. Oh, my dog's chasing squirrels. And then I'll drop a couple of maraschino cherries in there. Give it a little stir around.
Joe says it's a great live, but he'd like to see some close-ups a little bit later of the products.
Joe, I would love to do that, but we're a very limited studio here. We can maybe we can zoom in. Hey, can you just pick that thing up and walk it right in?
No, that's in the way.
It's in the way?
Yeah.
We'll try, Joe. We make no promises. Tell you what. There it is, Joe, for you. That's the old-fashioned, slow-fashioned, I call it. And so yeah, so this is what I'm going to be sipping while we do the rest of our drinks. Now, I don't know. Everyone's got that friend who's an absolute, let's say, whiskey snob. They'll say things like, "Only thing I add to my whiskey is more whiskey." Good for you, man. I mean, I'm not asking you to take your 30-year-old single malt scotch and mix a cocktail with it, but there's a lot of phenomenal whiskeys out there that you can put into a million different cocktails. Whiskey has a ton of flavor, and it really lends itself well to cocktails. So don't get caught up in the whiskey snobs trap, and just play around with it. Give it a try, because most of my mixes will actually go really well with a whiskey. I do bourbon and grapefruit all day long. I just did my old fashioned with whiskey. You can do a rye and ginger with my ginger. I haven't tried raspberry. I'm not sure it would go too well with whiskey, but you never know until you try. So, cheers, everybody. We'll get on to our next drink. Is there any questions at all, him, other than Joe?
Nope.
All right. So the next, hopefully I'm not talking too fast. Next drink I want to do is a mojito, but I do a raspberry mojito. So we'll start with a mixing glass. Anything will do, big jar, whatever. But this is what I'll start with. Again, you can measure if you like. I never measure. I just free pour to the best of my knowledge. You're at home. What's the harm if you give yourself a little too much? So I'm using an unaged white rum. I believe it's a Bacardi rum, but you can use like a Havana Club or any of the unaged stuff. It's just it just works a little, lets the mint come through a little bit better than the sort of the stronger older rums. So just pour about 1.5 ounces, maybe 2 ounces of rum in there. I like to throw in a few frozen raspberries. Sorry. Grab a little bit of fresh mint. It's actually hard to come by. It's just coming into season now. Hopefully, it's growing all over your back garden. So put a bit of that in. I'll also give it a good squeeze of lime. We do that. So, I don't know if you know this, but the Mojito was actually invented by pirates back in the day. I think it was I forget the name of the pirate, but they originally made it with mint, lime, cane sugar, and moonshine, and then some pirate asked, or not, I'm sure he didn't ask, he's a pirate, I'm sure he just did it or told someone to do it, added rum to it instead, and the Mojito was born. So I'll add probably, it's tough. It's the only one I didn't test. Oh my god. Live TV.
This is embarrassing for you.
Is it, how many viewers do I have? Am I
18.
losing? 18. Haven't lost any yet. Ugh.
Do you need help?
I need help. Can you run that under hot water? Yes, take it. It's okay. Oh, you don't want to be. All right. Yes, there you go. So my assistant's going to run that under hot water. Sometimes my bottles can be a little bit hard to open because they are pasteurized and they seal up really tight. And I tested all my bottles first before I went on live. Still all open. Anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit of the raspberry mint to that. We add the rum, we add some fresh mint, we add some frozen raspberries, and then we're gonna muddle it. Hopefully, my assistant doesn't take too long with my raspberry mint. Raspberry mint's a really nice flavor. I actually invented that originally to go with a bourbon to do a mint julep with. So speaking of whiskey, mint julep is a classic drink, and the raspberry just goes really, really nice with mint and bourbon. You can also just do a vodka soda, gin and soda, or even just straight up soda water. I'll be actually touching on that in a little bit. Did you get it?
Yeah.
Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you. So my lovely assistant has helped her dad out. We've got our raspberry mint now. So like I said, we're going to add about 3/4 of an ounce, an ounce of that, and we grab our little muddler and we just lightly beat the heck out of it. There we go. Just trying to get the mint to express a little bit. Do that. And then you get yourself a nice glass. A little bit of ice. So this one here, I'm just going to use my smaller ice. Have we got any questions, Han?
No.
No questions. All right, I must be explaining it so well that nobody wants to ask anything.
That must be it.
That must be it. And then what I'll do is I got my ice glass, and I got this really awesome holder from Studio 50 in Paris, Ontario. I put my soda water in there already. You freeze the block, keeps it. Is that in the scene?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah. So you freeze the block in the freezer. So you got a block of concrete that's frozen solid, keeps your drink cool. Put a little ice in there. You got your soda water. So I'm gonna fill my glass about 3/4 with soda water, club soda, Perrier, whatever you like. Grab myself a little strainer.
Christina asked, could you use fresh raspberries instead of frozen?
Absolutely, Christina, you can use fresh raspberries. I just use frozen when I'm mixing it up just because they're cold. They help cool the drink off. But also a frozen raspberry, once it thaws, just releases so much more flavor than sort of a fresh raspberry. So absolutely, I would probably use the fresh raspberries more as a garnish, but I froze all mine and put them in here.
Yanni asked, could I use the mixer for non-alcoholic beverages as well?
Yes, Yanni, that's a perfect question. Absolutely you can. So the idea, I'm sort of showing some cocktails at the beginning. I'm going to go to some sodas next, but absolutely you do not need to add alcohol to these. These can be mixed with anything. You can add them to beverages, such as your sodas, such as just flat water, but you can put some of them, it'll go nice in a tea. We've had a few people put them in coffee. It's whatever you're drinking, but I mean, you can also put them on ice cream. You can put them on, like, sometimes my kids will put the raspberry on pancakes or waffles, you know? It's just whatever you're looking to add a low sugar, all natural flavor to. So when I say low sugar, a typical serving of this, which is half an ounce, is only 2 grams of sugar, and that's natural sugar. It's not corn syrup, it's not high fructose syrup, it's just either a beet sugar or a cane sugar. So it's super low in sugar when you consider a typical bottle of, I think, Mountain Dew is like 78 grams of sugar. Two's nothing.
Yanni also asks about the competition you talked about and how he can enter.
So Yanni, I believe, and I should have double checked my facts on this, but if you go to the Instagram page of Carleton Alumni, I think you like it, and you tag a friend, or you can go to the Split Tree page as well and see we have the contest up there, I believe. If not, maybe my good friend Joe could make sure that that's up there. But that's you go to the Carleton University Alumni. It has all the contest rules and information. It's pretty easy. You're just going to tag and like, and you're automatically entered to win these 4 products. So back to my raspberry mojito. I'm going to put I've already put a squeeze of lime in there. I'm just going to garnish this with a lime. Put that there. Oh, dropping my lime. I'm just going to drop it right in. You get a little bit more fresh mint, and just sort of give it a light whack to open it up a bit. And there you go. Your raspberry mojito is ready. I'm going to give that a sip too.
Laura asks, any suggested food pairings or snacks that go particularly well with any of these drinks?
You know what? That's a good question, Laura. I tend to, a mojito goes with just about anything. Any sort of, cold picnic sort of foods. I haven't really done a lot of food pairings. I don't know what goes. An old fashioned is sort of like an after meal drink, I find. I got double fisting right now. That's a good question. I don't really do a lot of food pairings. I'm not really the sommelier type I like all food and I like all drinks, so it's I think whatever you like and whatever you're drinking or eating at the time will be just fine. There certainly isn't anything that I would avoid, that's for sure. I think it's totally up to you. And that's it for the mojito. And like Yanni was asking, we're going to go on to a couple more drinks. Just going to move these out of the way. So my next drink is just basically a straight soda. I do a grapefruit soda all the time, and making a soda with these products is dead simple. I'm just gonna add a little ice to a glass. Maybe get some bigger ice tongs so you can do more than one ice cube at a time. Always add your soda first. It just makes it easier for mixing. So add your soda to your glass. And this is by far my favorite soda. I do a grapefruit soda all the time, especially on a hot day like today where you don't want to have an alcoholic drink. You just want to have something light and refreshing. This is 100% grapefruit juice, zest, and some sugar. That's it. All natural. Put a little bit in. That's probably, I might have even added too much there. That's about half an ounce. Depends how strong you want it. And then you're all set. Grab a little spoon, give it a little stir. You got a grapefruit soda.
Sophie asks, love these beverages, but since I can't have alcohol right now, do you have any interesting mocktail recommendations?
That's a good question. Absolutely. A mocktail is basically a non-alcoholic soda, or non-alcoholic cocktail, obviously, for those of you who don't know what a mocktail is. The nice thing about these products is they're all natural, they're fresh, they're a little more premium, or they're not like Mountain Dew or C Plus or something, so you can make a mocktail, and the mocktail is all in the ingredients you want to add to it. So I'm going to do a mocktail next. You'll see it's just about mixing up a bunch of different flavors and a bunch of different garnishes and playing around with some different flavors. So this one is just a straight soda. It's dead simple to do. Back to the my forte, I guess, is the cocktail side of things. So if you wanted to turn this into a Paloma, you would just add a little bit of tequila. You've got a Paloma. You add a vodka or a gin to that. Then you've got a Greyhound. Super simple. This would be your base. And there's just so many nice products on the market right now in Ontario and Quebec around us that just blend perfectly with these products. So I've got some behind me. You had a vodka from Almont. That's a nice Greyhound. I also like a little distillery out of Perth. Top Shelf Gin is actually a grapefruit right in their gin, so it goes really well with my grapefruit. Another fun one. If you want to do another. Dylan's Rose Gin, you add that to a little bit of grapefruit and soda, you got a really nice drink. I haven't really given it a name, but other than delicious, you can add a Aperol to that. You got an Aperol Spritz and a bit of grapefruit is really nice. I know people are People are asking about the non-alcoholic stuff and the mocktails. Not my strength, and I have to apologize because I had a friend, her daughter created 3 beautiful mocktails for me, all alcohol free, and I meant to print them off and have them here for you, but I'm definitely going to put them up on my website so that you can see those later. She worked really hard and came up with some really cool ideas. Basically, you're going to start with, I would suggest you start with, for a mocktail, you start with soda water, you start with a flavor that you like. A lot of these my flavors are complementary, so you can add a little bit of another one to it, and then just work with garnishes, work with fresh juices, even some bitters, and then you're just sort of basically pimping your soda is what how I would call it. You're making something a little fancier than just a flat soda, and it's basically, be as creative as you want. Try something. All these flavors will blend pretty well, and you can do whatever you want. I have a feeling I'm talking too fast. How long have we been going? Does it say?
We have 10 minutes left.
We've been going for 20 minutes?
Yeah.
Have we really?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Have we got any more viewers?
Well, we're down to 15.
Down to 15. We lost 3. Oh, that's okay. That's okay. So the last drink I want to make is I sort of concept. I do an alcoholic version of this, but I also do a non-alcoholic version of this. It's called Reggie's Mix, and it uses the rhubarb and elderflower with a bit of my ginger vanilla, and it's just dead simple again. My whole concept behind these mixes is that they're super easy to use. I've done sort of all the chopping, all the zesting, all the hard work, all the messy stuff up front. All you really need to do is add it to a glass, and you can cut it with soda, you can cut it with alcohol. You don't have to do anything but stir it into a drink, basically. So, without further ado, again, you're starting with your glass. I'm just going to use my bare hands because that's the way we're degenerating here. Put a little ice in there. If you've ever had me make you a drink, you know that I normally just use my bare hands and stir everything with my finger. I'm just putting on airs with this spoon and these tongs. I never use tongs in my life. It's just something I'm doing for you, for your benefit. To think if you come to my house and I make you a drink, that I'll be clean. So we add our soda. Put that back. So this one, because it's just a mocktail and it's a soda, I don't want to add too much. So again, I would give, if you're using ginger vanilla, like I said, we use all real whole fresh ingredients. So you're going to want to give it a good shake because the ginger's pretty dense and it will actually settle out to the bottom. There is real ginger in there. You'll notice the difference between this and a mass-produced ginger. Add a little bit of that. The vanilla and the ginger, just sort of, when you combine it with the rhubarb and elderflower, it creates almost like a cream soda kind of flavor. So I think it's really nice. So just put a little bit of that into. So we probably put in total maybe 3/4 of an ounce of the two combined. Maybe not even quite that much. I would the rhubarb and elderflower goes really nice with a bit of mint. So I would always grab a little bit of mint. Again, just give it a little, rough it up a little bit, drop it in there. If you want, and I do, I always add a little bit of lemon to that as well. So a nice thin slice of lemon. Put that wheel in there like that. Let it sit in there. And if you find it's a little bit too sweet, or even if you just want a little more sour, you just give it a little squeeze of lemon in there. Not a lot. Give it a light stir. Oh, that's good. It's very light, very refreshing. All of the flavors really come through. The fresh lemon juice and the lemon wheel just make the flavors really pop. Again, if you want to add a little bit of a pizzazz to it, this gin out of Montreal, Madison Park breakfast gin. Who knew there was such a thing? But yes, apparently you can have gin for breakfast. It's made with I think bergamot, and it's a black tea. It's an amazing flavor, and it goes really nice inside this drink as well. So if you want to give that a try, by all means give that a try. Those are the 4 drinks I had planned. I don't know if there's any questions there, camera lady? Nothing?
Well, John said That his daughter made him a super awesome mocktail the other weekend, and with split tree stuff, and it was just really good.
Thank you, John. That's good to hear. Yeah, and and that's, like I said, that's the beauty of this, is you don't have to add alcohol, although clearly you would think I'm a little bit obsessed with alcohol, and maybe I am. There's so many amazing micro distilleries out there now that we have access to, that we can try stuff. But really, if you're looking to make a mocktail, something a little nicer than your typical, Shirley Temple made with, fake grenadine and fake flavors, this is a really nice way to do it. We made a mocktail of a margarita the other day where we used a sour mix, we used orange juice, we blended it up with crushed ice, added a fresh squeeze of lime. It was really good. So it's all up to your imagination. You're just going to get out there, give it a try. I hope you can hear me over the saws. What time? How long have we been going for now? I don't want to act like I want to leave.
We have 6 minutes left.
6 minutes to go. Let's see, what can I do for the last 6 minutes? Well, I really want to try this Mojito one more time because it's good. But we do have 8 flavors. Oh, that's what I really, really wanted to, but because I'm hopeless, I didn't get around to doing it. I thought the Mary Dairy was open for same-day pickup, and I really love the Mary Dairy. They make this frozen custard that is phenomenal, and I always buy it, and I put my blackberry blackcurrant mix on top of it, and it's just divine. So if you haven't been down to the Mary Dairy, go online. You can order. They do curbside pickup. It's phenomenal stuff. But otherwise, give them a try. Actually, it's funny. I meant to give a little shout out to my friend Steve, who loves the grapefruit and always talks about getting a bucket and ice and then adding adding water and adding a little bit of this to it. Steve's pretty big, burly, manly man and drinks out of a bucket. You don't need to drink out of a bucket. You can get yourself a glass and some ice and some water and just add a little bit.
We have 3 questions.
3 questions, perfect.
So, the first one is, how often do you release new flavors, and what's your process for developing new ones?
You know what? My biggest problem isn't coming up with flavor ideas. It's coming up with it's restraining myself. So it's a lot to manage every time I come up with a new flavor. But I think I am gonna do it a little more frequently and try and do some seasonal sort of one-offs. It's a lot to manage to try and get a whole bunch of flavors and keep them all in stock and keep all those ingredients in line and make sure we can access them all the time. So, but basically it's trial and error. I was really, really hopeful. I had this great idea. I was going to do a peach and pecan flavored mix, but it just fell super flat. It was gross. It was either flavorless, and the more I worked on it, the less I liked it. But I think I'm working with a friend in Ottawa to come out with a zero sugar coffee flavor that we're going to launch pretty soon. So look for that. I'm also working really hard right now on getting sugar-free mixes that are sweetened with monk fruit. So that one I want to try. So keep your eyes open for that.
Elise asks, where can I buy this?
Well, Elise, you can buy it online. I'm not sure where you are. But if you go to my website and click retailers, you can do a quick search, find the nearest retailer to you, or of course you can do it online. But during this weird pandemic time, please be sure to call ahead, make sure they're open, make sure they've got it in stock, because it's been a while since anyone's been able to order anything or anyone's been able to go to the store. But if you check out my website, you can find out where to buy them for sure.
Joe asks, why the name Split Tree?
Ah, Joe, come on. Well, it's a funny story, actually. A long time ago when I was working for the breweries, I used to deliver just to a little pub in Dunrobin, and I would drive by this tree in the wintertime, and it was split right down the middle, and it kind of looked like this haunted, sort of scary-looking tree. And I don't know why, it just sort of resonated with me. It was just this warrior in the middle of a farmer's field, and I'd always assumed it was dead. And then one spring I went back, and that tree was full bloom, covered in leaves, looked amazing, and it just resonated with me. And I don't know, when I saw it that day, I remember thinking, if I ever start my own company, which I'd been thinking of doing, I'm going to call it Split Tree. And then that just stuck. And you know, the tree makes sense. Almost all my ingredients come from trees for the most part. You know, whether it's the cinchona bark for the tonic, whether it's the lemons, the limes, the grapefruits, everything's natural. So the tree just really resonated with me.
Christina wants to know what happened to the strawberry lemonade. She misses it.
You know, Christina, I remember that we did that actually for my camera girl. Her karate team was trying to raise money to go to the World Karate Championships, I believe, in Dublin, Ireland at the time. And we made the strawberry lemonade, and it was a big, big hit. But it was such a difficult product to make because we started with whole fresh strawberries, and we had to shuck the stems off each and every one of them individually because we had nothing to do that quickly. So although I absolutely love it too, and maybe that'll be one of my one-offs we do again, because I got a lot of really, really positive feedback with that. It was a delicious mix for sure. I apologize for not bringing it back, but maybe we'll do our best to bring that back next strawberry season. That's it?
Yeah, no
All
more
right.
questions.
Well, I mean, that's it for me. Thank you so much for tuning in on this Friday afternoon in the hot, hot heat. I'd just like to say a quick thank you to the Carleton University alumni for thinking of me and then giving me the opportunity to do this. Thank you again to all our frontline workers who are keeping us safe and fed and taken care of during this strange quarantine time. And that's it. We'll play a song. A very famous Canadian once said, if they don't find you handsome, they should find you handy. And I think making a drink is always very handy, so you should be able to do it. Thank you so much.
Well, I can't fix that. No.